Hey guys, I'm Ken,
And I'm Crystal, and this is Beyond the Satchel.
Politician Edition.
Thanks for tuning in today.
Beyond the satchel, beyond the job, I'm done with my rounds. Now I'm heading for the battleground. Beyond the satchel, let's take a stand. Scream our battle cry, and then go it across the land.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning back in. My name is Crystal.
And I'm Ken, and this is our political edition. And we have our guests, two special guests again. Well, we have Scott Vanner. He's not that a special guest, but he's back on the show again. And we also have another special guest. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves real quick while Scott's over there laughing. So go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Joey. I can't with Ken right now. I'm about to start crying from laughter again.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Joey Ruzevich. I am running for Congress in Illinois' 6th Congressional District. I'm a software engineer, originally from Orland Park, living in Mount Greenwood now. And the district covers the southwest side of Chicago and the western suburbs. So it goes from Mount Greenwood, Beverly, Evergreen Park, over to Oak Lawn, Payless, Bridgeview, down to Tinley, Orland, and then up to Oak Brook, Burr Ridge, Downers Grove, Lombard, Glen Ellen, Villa Park, and Elmhurst. So it's a big district. And I'm very happy to be on here. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. I know we met in December. Seemed like it clicked just like that. We're what, January, almost over.
Yeah, it's going quick, and the primary is March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Early voting starts February 5th, so right around the corner.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah,
We kicked it off real good. We had good conversations. You told us a little bit about your platform. We reached out to majority of our brothers and sisters on the letter carrier side, some neighbors, and I got some questions for you. Scott's gonna ask you some questions, Crystal. Unfortunately, I'm gonna let them ask you the questions because I'm only on my cell phone. I was just at work and I totally forgot, brother, that we scheduled at 6. I was thinking 7. So when Crystal sent me a message, I'm grabbing my files, running out to. I'm in my truck right now to do this show with you. So, started off. I'm gonna ask you just an icebreaker question. Do you know you're a mailman or a mail woman?
so I technically no, I don't. But the only reason for that is because I recently moved to the area and I'm living with my uncle right now. So I haven't been around every day. I'm gone. 6, 7 a.m. We're out. We're covering the whole district, whether it's canvassing, door knocking, or going to events. Like tonight, I'm going to the NAACP monthly meeting in DuPage. And then after that, I got to go pick up some cards that have been printed by a union print shop. And I'm picking those up from one of my staff members. And then I probably won't get back until 10, 11 o'clock. So unfortunately, I don't know them. But that is actually a great point. I should.
Yeah, I mean, because we're the eyes and ears of the community, and we actually spoke to Karar yesterday, and we asked him the same question, and it was funny. So I urge you to get to know your mailman, because like I say, hey, we want you in there. We're the eyes and ears of the community, and I mean anything we move the mail, so.
I promise you, the next time that I'm on here, I will know my mailman.
Gotcha.
That's if the route's covered, of course.
What's that?
That's if the route's covered, of course.
Hey.
That station in Mount Greenwood, right there on 111th. I think it's
Yeah.
Just east of St. Louis, right by Taco Joe.
Yep.
I went to high school at Chicago Ag, so I'm familiar with the area. But that station is understaffed. I have friends that live on Trumbull, just north of 105th, and yeah, that station's got some staffing problems.
Oh, that's unfortunate, but yeah, I wasn't aware.
So Scott, why don't you start off with one of your questions that you seemed like you was getting into the question.
Well, you know what? I listened to the last couple of interviews that you did, and I went over some of your platform, and I made a promise to my coworkers that I would be easy on you today. But I do want to say that I am a conservative, but I'm also one of those conservatives that's pro-union, because collectively we have to have a voice that bargains with our employer in good faith to make sure we're not being taken advantage of. A fair day's work for a fair day's pay. You've already expressed that you're pro-union, and you talk about being one of the only people that's running for Congress that's actually involved with software and tech. I think that is one unique qualifier that separates you 100% from any other candidate. What are the other features and characteristics that you possess that another candidate doesn't?
Sure. So just talking about my race specifically, I come from a working family. I come from the middle class, whereas the opponent that I'm going up against was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. There's just no way to put it any differently. When I was growing up, my dad was a federal agent. And my dad's pretty conservative as well. So I actually enjoy talking to everybody across the political aisle. It challenges me to make sure that I'm not in an echo chamber and just getting applause when I talk, but actually having my ideas challenged and making sure that they can stand up to challenge. So I welcome any questions and challenges on the positions I hold. But just specifically about what separates me from my opponent, I do think that growing up in a working class family matters, because it matters how you're going to represent the district, whether or not you're willing to take money from corporations or Wall Street or private equity like my opponent does, and whether or not you're going to fight for the people of the district to a degree that they understand and you understand, because you grew up the same. So just as a little aside, my dad was a federal agent for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. He was a special agent. He was undercover for 21 of his 27 years, mostly involved with the Latin King organization. If you've ever seen the TV show Gangland, they did a special on the Latin Kings in Chicago, and my dad's featured in that show. So he was one of the lead agents on that project. And while he was doing that, he was also flipping houses, and he had amassed, some decent wealth. We were certainly middle class, and then the housing crisis happened, and he lost everything. 25 years worth of work out the window overnight, and he had to use whatever savings that he had left to open up a restoration business, which did flood damage. And flood damage repair. And one of the first contracts that he actually got was cleaning carpets of all 30 T-Mobile stores in the Chicagoland area. And I went with him after school. I would go to the warehouse and I would help him get the truck ready. And we would drive downtown, and I would look at the skyline lit up at night with a sense of awe and wonder. The idea that you're a part of something greater than yourself. And we would wait until the T-Mobile stores closed, and we would get to work, and we would clean those carpets. I would hold the hose. I would do the work with them. And then, we would stop at this really awesome Chinese restaurant for some Mongolian beef on the way home. And, looking back, I know my dad probably didn't have the money to do that, but he was willing to spend a little time and money with his son. And those are the experiences that I take with me now running for Congress. Because if you look at the net worth of people in Congress, and especially in the Senate, it is nowhere close to the average American. So they cannot resonate. They cannot understand what people are going through right now, because they've never gone through it. They've never struggled financially. I'm very blessed that my parents did everything that they could so that the kids never missed a meal. We never really needed for anything. We wanted for some things that we couldn't have, but we didn't need, right? We always had a roof over our head, and that was because of how hard my parents worked to do that. So I would say the working class upbringing really separates how I view this race and what I'm going to do once in Congress. But I'm sure there's some other stuff that will pop into my head later as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And by the way, Joey, I wanted to say thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule during this race to join us. All of us appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our esteemed pleasure. It really is. It's very rarely that many of us get an opportunity to actually talk to an elected representative, and it's a little bit easier to speak to someone that's currently running. Let's say hypothetically you go ahead and you end up getting elected. When can we expect you back on the podcast or over at the branch office?
Within the first month. I'll make that promise to you. That's actually something that I've heard a lot during this campaign. Even going to talk to elected officials. For example, I spoke to an alderman in the city of Elmhurst, and he said that he hasn't heard from Representative Caston, the current incumbent, in almost 3 years. And this is a city alderman, of somebody in the district. So one of my goals is going to be to not be the type of candidate, the type of elected official that only comes around during campaign season and only comes around when they need something, but to actually have relationships and maintain them throughout. And I will give all of you on this podcast right now and all of the letter carriers an open invitation to come to the office in DC whenever you want. And I will make time for you, and I'll coordinate the trip. We'll help you out in any way we can to get you out there. But ultimately, I need to be in the district and showing up and being there. So 100%, within the first month of being elected, I will be back on the podcast. I can offer you that right now. That's and I think one of the biggest things is keeping your word. As a man, that's all we have, and I don't want to just say as a man, but as a human being, that's really all we have is our word, and whether or not you keep that.
Exactly.
I give you my word that I will come back on the podcast within the first month of being elected, and back at the meeting as well. So I'll say 3 months for the meeting, because depending on the schedule, I don't know how it works, but I will constantly be in the district, coming to meetings. And talking to people, because that's something that's lacking right now with current representatives.
Exactly.
Well, I agree with you. Go ahead, Ken.
Trust me. You get in there, congratulations. And once you get to work, it's called boots on the ground. That's one thing I said, as a human being, all we have is our word. And me being raised, I was born in Chicago, we're raised down south of Mississippi. And some things my mom and my grandparents and all my aunties and uncles always taught me, you only have your word. So if you say something, you're going to do it. Keep your promises. If some come up, communication is the biggest thing. So
yeah. And also being showing loyalty to people that have helped you early as well. There's one representative, Lynn LaPlante. She's on the DuPage County board. She was the first elected official to endorse me publicly, and she's being hit hard from the establishment for doing so. And I am not going to forget that, because if somebody sticks their neck out for me and they help me when I need it, then it is incumbent upon me to help them and to continue that relationship and to not turn my back on them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are correct about that. At the end of the day, all we really have is our word. Our word is a defining characteristic of who we are as people, as Americans. And yes. I think that we have enough of the establishment on both sides that have been sitting for 10, 15, 20, 35 plus years. And one thing that I find troubling is, how do these establishment politicians relate to the younger generations when we don't have anyone that knows, the kind of era that we came up in, and how labor has changed in the U.S., especially here in the state of Illinois. What are the specific needs that we all have? And that's just a small little taste of some of the things that I think about.
Yeah. I mean, my dad tells me about growing up in Mount Greenwood, where every house down the block said, proud Union home, proud Democrat, proud Union home, proud Democrat. And it changed because in the 1990s, Bill Clinton opened up the party to accept corporate money. And they've just been on a roll from there, accepting as much big money as possible. And, the best example I give, and I said this in my speech at the Letter Carriers Union meeting, is that the Democrats right now are only allowed to be pro-union as far as the leadership allows them to be. So, for example, in 2021, there was a potential strike with the railroad workers, and they wanted one single day of sick pay on their monthly contract, and that was it, right? And they were threatening to strike, and Joe Biden, the president at the time, sided with the railroad owners and quashed the strike. And there were no Democrats in office that stood up and said, we're supposed to be the party of the unions. We're supposed to be the party of the working families. This is wrong. We should be standing with the workers, the union workers of the railroads, when they're making a very reasonable ask. And the reason they didn't do that is because if they go against the party, then the party's going to go against them. They're going to have their funding pulled. They're going to have, a challenge in the primary. But because they're not doing that, that's why I'm challenging in the primary now. It's an organic challenge. But that's what's going to be different about me is I'm going to be pro-union to the nth degree, because there is nobody that's going to pull my strings. I'm a grassroots candidate. I'm not accepting money from any corporations, no foreign lobbies like AIPAC. It is only going to be the people that are behind me. And again, you guys have showed me such great support and love from the very beginning. I've already been pro-union, but now getting this positive response is going to make me even more pro-union and do what I can to help you and stand up for you. And not just the Letter Carriers Union specifically, but all unions and all organized labor.
Exactly. And you just not just union as well for the people that's in your district. That's what this is all about too, because the letter carriers, some of us live in your district, some of us don't live in your district, but you supporting the union and you supporting your district as well. That's always a good thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Ken, please continue.
Crystal, you want to shoot out a question real quick? You got a question?
Yeah. Actually, I know since you brought up that you weren't planning on taking like any PAC money. With that, because that is a big issue with us. We have our political fund that we have, we do have some of that going on, but we're never going to be able to outspend any, like we got the Amazon, we got UPS, all those big names. We're never going to be able to outspend them. They can just, put it out there. So I respect that a lot.
Yeah, thank you. So specifically not corporate PAC money, labor PACs would be acceptable. And grassroots organizations, let's say like, for example, a clean energy organization that has a PAC behind it, or a religious organization like a Muslim, Illinois Muslim organization that has some money behind it. We actually haven't received any of that yet. It's been all individual donations. But it is very specifically corporate PAC money because their interests are not aligned with the working families of America.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very true. Corporate interests, what they do is that they have lobbyists that lobby on both sides of the aisle. So it doesn't matter who gets in. If you take the money, you're going to get a vote in the affirmative for whatever that bill is, or whatever whatever Congress is trying to repeal.
Yes.
So that's something else. And since we're on the topic of PAC donations to political candidates, what are your thoughts about the possibilities of drafting or co-sponsoring a bill that limits PAC contributions to political candidates, both currently running for election as a freshman or a re-election committee?
So unfortunately, we cannot legislate the limiting of spending by PACs because the Citizens United ruling by the Supreme Court stated that spending money is essentially free speech, and corporations cannot have their free speech limited, which I think is ridiculous and atrocious because corporations are not human beings. They are entities that are created and given certain rights. So in order to limit and combat money in politics, we have to get a little creative. We would have to overturn Citizens United through a constitutional amendment, which requires 3/4 of the state legislatures to pass it. So that's a huge lift, and we can certainly work towards it. But what we can do in the interim is something like democracy dollars, where this is not my idea. Other people have put this forward. You would give, let's say, $500 credit, dollars in credit to every American, and they can only spend it on political races. So you can't go and buy a new TV or a new pair of shoes or anything. You can only make donations to candidates through that. And so what that would do is it would effectively make the big money useless, because there's so many more of us, and we all don't have $500 to necessarily give out to political candidates. But if we had a credit that could work that way, then it would wash out the big money and allow the people's voice to get through, because that's ultimately what we're talking about, is whose voice is being heard. And right now it's the corporations that have all the money.
Yeah, that's very true. And also just as an individual, as an employee, a laborer, I understand that there is a symbiotic relationship between the employer and the employee. And without the employer, hey, the employee doesn't have a job. But friggin', if without the employee, the employer cannot turn a profit, which in turn pleases the stakeholders in that corporate entity. So right. There's that symbiotic relationship, and that right there is just another reason why we actually need a union, and why we need to continue to have a union and work together despite our political differences. Because at the end of the day, when you wear light blue, we all do the same job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Joey, so we're speaking on corporations. So what would be your plan? Because we have a lot of small business, mom and pop shops out there, that are getting overran by big corporations coming in, taking, basically doing, like making fake product to get rid of the hardworking families that's doing something like let's see, in Mississippi they had a little shop where they made like ice cream, and a Dunkin' Donuts came down the street, and they initially couldn't keep up with that, and it closed.
Yeah. So to help small businesses, the best thing that we can do is break up monopolies, break up oligarchies across industries. We see it in big tech, right? We call it big, whatever the industry name is, big tech, big agriculture, big auto, big tobacco, all of that. These are monopolies that have market control. So for example, John Deere has 60% of the market share for tractors and 55% of the market share for large combines. And what this does is it prevents any small company from being able to compete with this big company. And I know that's not necessarily the example that you gave, but the way that we help small businesses and restaurants, let's say in the district, is by breaking up the meat packers industry, because we have 4 major meat packers in America right now. Not only is that a national security risk, we saw during COVID how when one meat packer shuts down, the rest of the country suffers, whether it's economically with higher prices or just in unavailability of meats. So we have to start using the existing antitrust laws on the books. I am not anti-business, right? I don't want to just hurt business for business sakes. But what I do want is to allow competition into the marketplace. Another thing that we can do to help small businesses is pass Medicare for all. And I know this might sound counterintuitive, but just give me a minute. My dad owns this restoration company now, and thankfully, he's worked his tail off to be able to build it up into a really, really impressive shop. So he's at the point now where if he hires any more employees, a couple more employees, he crosses a threshold where legally he has to provide healthcare to his employees, and that is going to cost him at minimum $400,000 a year. That's the worst healthcare plan that they could buy, and that would cause the employees to have to pay a huge premium and have a huge deductible. And so he just doesn't want to do it because he wants to provide well for his employees, and his employees understand this. They want healthcare as well. So what this could do is save that $400,000 a year. And let's say even if the taxes go up 1 or 2 or 3% to pay for the Medicare for all, it's far less than the $400,000 that they have to give to the insurance companies in the hopes that they get decent coverage. Another reason why Medicare for all would help small businesses is because my dad always talks about how difficult it is to hire top talent. Because the top talent always goes to the big companies because the first thing they ask is, do you provide healthcare? And he doesn't provide healthcare, so he cannot hire the best of the best talent. That only goes to the big companies that have amassed this major market share. So I've gotten him to come around a little bit and think about Medicare for all as a potential pro-business move. And I think those breaking up monopolies so that the cost of goods is lower, and then providing healthcare so that companies don't have to pay that for their employees, and they can hire the top talent. And then it also obviously helps the workers, because if you get fired, you're SOL, you don't have healthcare, you don't know what you're going to do. And so at the very least, this is a safety net where people can make sure that they're not avoiding going to the doctor because they don't have healthcare. We already pay for the people that don't have healthcare, that go to the emergency rooms and then don't pay their bills. That gets passed on to people who do have insurance. The premiums go up to cover those individuals who don't pay. So it's a circular model already, and we just got to cut it out, I think.
What could you do for, a lot of working class people? They're struggling. They're going paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet, to put food on the table for their families, and the cost of everything is constantly going up. Is it something in the near future or something that could be done? Because what about cutting taxes on like groceries or something like that? Is that something that could be possibly talked about? Because I know other states are doing it on certain things.
Yeah, that's more of a state level issue, and
Okay.
I would definitely work with the Illinois state legislature to try to get something like that passed. I mean, they did it during COVID. JB Pritzker championed the no tax on groceries, I believe it was, and that would be a great option. I do think that there are things that we can do at the federal level, like breaking up monopolies so that the cost of goods is lower, because if there's more competition, right now it's a handful of brands that own all of the brands in the store. You have these overarching brands that have 30 or 40. So it's the illusion of choice. You might think you're buying different products, but it's the same owner up top. And I think breaking those up is a great first step. I would also say we should consider maybe even no tax, let's say, on if you're 18 to 30 years old. Give people a chance to save money and to build up some wealth. But that's a more esoteric idea that I have that I don't think many people would find palatable. But I do think breaking up monopolies is number one. Also, reappropriating the funds take the money away from the Pentagon. The Pentagon has not passed an audit in 8 years now. So we have no idea where this taxpayer dollars are going. So let's make sure that we're not having waste, fraud, and abuse in the Pentagon. And if we are, let's take some of that money and redirect it to the states and say, okay, this money is explicitly for getting rid of lead pipes and replacing those and making sure we have safe water to drink. We're building housing so that people aren't paying 50% of their check in rent. And then also right now, data centers. Data centers are driving up the cost of electricity and water like crazy. So we need to regulate that and make sure that data centers build their own energy infrastructure. Whenever they create a new plant, there's some laws that are being considered in Montana and North Carolina that are just along those lines. And I think if those red and purple states can do it, we can certainly do it at the federal level.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with you on one thing. I did enjoy what Doge did when they went in and started auditing the departments. And I do agree, especially being an Army veteran, I do agree that the audit needs to be for every department instead of just picking and choosing. And so if that audit was done, I personally would like to see that information disclosed, because after all, we, the people, not we the Republicans, not we the Democrats, we the people are the lifeblood of this nation. And we
Yes.
all have a right to know what our hard work actually, our hard work, our tax dollars are actually going to fund.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I can get
I would
behind.
say. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Joey. Please, I can get behind you on that.
Yeah, and I even think it's criminal that these weapons manufacturers are the ones getting rich when we have veterans, like my uncle who's a Marine, or my cousin who's in the National Guard. They have difficulty getting appointments at the VA. They struggle to get their benefits sometimes, and we have a ton of homeless veterans. We have veterans that are going through mental health crises. I mean, for God's sakes, more people ended up taking their own lives after Afghanistan than were killed in battle. So we are not providing for our veterans in any way, shape, or form, but we are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on these weapons manufacturers that are just, I think, overcharging the American people. So that's something that I'm very passionate about because it's close to my heart with my family. I do want to see our veterans taken care of. I also don't want to see them put in harm's way for regime change efforts and oil and resources. If it's to defend our country, absolutely. But unfortunately, I don't think it's been that for the last 20 or 30 years.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we're getting up on that mark because I don't want you to be late for your meeting. Crystal, you got to think we can get a couple more in real quick?
Well, you might just want to go ahead and ask our final question that we ask all our guests. What do you think, Ken? We are getting up pretty close to.
Yeah, I guess so. We're gonna have to get them back on for a part two because I mean we got some questions. I had 10 questions and I only think she got one of them out. So
Yeah.
I would love to come back on. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I love to do is talk to people about politics and ideas and solutions, right? Not just complaining, but like what could we actually do? So, if you'll have me back, I would love to come on end of January, early February.
Yeah, I mean, you got my contact, you got Crystal's contact. We can put it together, and I mean, I might have another two people on here that share different opinions, and when you have a group of people that have different ideas and different thoughts, it always come around and circle, and everything comes together. We might butt heads here and there. That's why I love this man right here, Scott, because me and him butt heads all the time about stuff, and then. And when we talk about it, he was like, oh, okay, cool. I see where you're coming from. So that's what it's all about, coming up with a solution to fix the problem, not make it worse than what it is. So, but we usually ask everybody that's coming on our show. I think we're at show number 10 or 11 now.
Something like that.
Okay. So you don't carry a mail satchel. But I mean, you carry I don't know, a laptop bag. So
We'll
we'll
have a
consider
briefcase soon enough.
yeah,
He probably has
briefcase is
2 or
soon
3
enough. So we're gonna call that your satchel. We're gonna call that your mailman satchel. So outside of what you do business time, what do you do to relax, to ease your mind, to you know outside of the politics and outside of going to help dad out?
Yeah, I do a couple of things. So I like to go for runs. I ran the Chicago Marathon the last 2 years, and that's a very meditative experience, going for long runs. And I run with no music, no headphones, and it's difficult. But you're alone with your own thoughts, and you have to just push through. So that's one thing that I do. I also like to mountain bike. Obviously not in the winter, but the Payless Trails out near what is it, like 95th and Wolf Road. That's a great spot. Ton of trails. That's a ton of fun. I like to snowboard. I haven't been able to go for this year at all, and I won't be able to, unfortunately, because it's campaign season. And then also I love comedy. I did stand-up comedy before this. I started when I was 18, and I had to stop because I was playing basketball at community college, and I realized that I didn't have the time to put into both things. And it really takes 100% of your effort to get good at anything. So I put comedy to the side, and I played basketball. I was able to get a scholarship to Loyola New Orleans, and I played 2 years in Germany. But then when I came back from Germany and I was living in Chicago doing software engineering, I thought I got to go back to this, and it was so great. I love the people. They're not regular normal people, and I love that. I love interesting people. Just a little off, right? Not crazy, but you're interesting. You think about that. You think about the world differently, and
Yeah.
new perspectives, and I love the creative aspect of writing and coming up with a way to present a premise or a topic that causes a left turn that nobody sees, and that moment of surprise. When a joke hits, there's no higher high mentally, and when it bombs, there's no lower low. So it's a risk reward scenario. But I do love watching stand up comedy and different TV shows that are comedic.
Oh, okay,
So
okay. Well, I told Karar that I want to challenge. I challenge him to come out and walk with me, or walk with a letter carrier. We got to get you out for you can see what the mailman, what the mail woman do on a daily basis. I'm gonna figure out how that go. That way, when you get elected, you know what we go through. You can see what we go through. So you'll know, like, okay, this is why they're fighting so hard in X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love to.
yeah. So I'm gonna see what I can do. I don't know if I no promises, but I would love for you to get out there and walk. You already been doing it, so you've been walking, knocking on doors. So hey, a couple more miles won't hurt.
No, not
Um,
at all. Listen, if you'll have me, I'll walk with you, man. It doesn't have to be my mail person
hey,
necessarily.
yeah, I got you.
Uh,
So one more thing. Hey, I forgot what it was that man.
Well, heck, I'll
Uh,
take your spot, Ken. I'll go ahead and say it. Joey, you happen to be one of the only Democrats I've ever heard say that we need to continue to support and subsidize our farmers to keep produce grown here stateside. That right there is incredibly commendable. And that right there just creates more agricultural jobs. And I have to say thank you very much for that, because we do need to support our farmers more. Because let's face it, no major city, village, township, or small rural town can live without food. And
Absolutely.
food is grown by farmers.
100%.
yeah, yeah. And look, when you get ready to go mountain biking, let's go. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm for the outdoor stuff too. Maybe not getting me to run some miles. I can walk some miles, but running, I can't run. So
Trail running, man, it's great. When you breathe in, I'm telling you, there's nothing better than a spring or summer morning when you're amongst the trees. You breathe that air in, and it sets you right for the
okay,
whole week.
okay.
You
So-
gotta remember though too, we got some years on you.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll get you.
Yeah. So Joey, before we let you go, let our listeners, let the people know where they can get your information. When I know we talked earlier, for they can know when to do the meet and greet with you or something like that. So please let them know.
Yeah. So the website is joey4congress.com. On social media, it's Joey Ruzevich, IL6. You can just see the name that's printed right there, Ruzevich, for anybody listening on audio. IL6 on all social media platforms. And we are going to be putting out a new website soon that has the upcoming events. Right now, we don't have anything scheduled in Tinley Park specifically, but when you called me, I was like, we got to go. We got to make sure that we're covering every single city in the district. And so we're looking at some coffee shops to have a meet and greet relatively soon. So I will let you know about that, and hopefully you could pass it out to everybody that you know as well.
So we're gonna set you up for part 2 soon. I'll be in contact, brother. And yet again, thank you people for listening. My name is Ken.
I'm Crystal.
We got Mr. Scott Vanner, and we got Joey Ruzevich, who's running for congressman in the 6th district. And we're hoping to see you again, brother. Talk to you later. All right.
All right. It was a pleasure. Thank you all very much.
All right.
Thank you very much, Joey.
Thank you.
All right, Joey.
Take care.